Okay, so Elche have been promoted from the second tier of Spain alongside club rivals Levante, and today I'm going to be rebuilding Elche into the best team in not only Spain but also Europe, while I'm only allowed to sign South American players. And if you know anything about the registration rules in Spain, this is going to be very, very tough. But it's a challenge that I am up for and one I'm excited to undertake. So let's see if we can rebuild Elche to the best team in the world, only signing South American wonder kids. And here we are then on FM24 with an updated database where Elche have been promoted in second place alongside Levante. Now, last year I was lucky enough to go to the Elche Levante game at the Estadio Martínez Valero, and it was absolutely fantastic. The Elche fans, I fell in love instantly with the atmosphere at the game, and it's a club that I now seem to follow all the time. But going through the squad, they are quite an aging squad. Let's not be lying here. The goalkeeper's 37. They've got two young centre-backs in Alvaro Núñez and David Akenbuga, but player of the season and star player Pedro Bigas is also 34. And we've got the likes of Alex Fibas, who's 28. We've got Oscar Planio, who's 33. And Josan Fernandez, one of the best players of the club, also 34. And if we know anything about Football Manager, these players are about to fall off a cliff. So we need to replace them with young talent. But as I've said, the only way we can make signings in this rebuild is if they are from South America. Now, this is going to be an absolute challenge because while South American wonder kids are fantastic and often the best value for money, if we come over to the squad registration, you can see in the top tier of Spain, not the second tier, you're allowed a maximum of 3 non-EU players, which of course every club maxes out. And if you don't know, South America is not in the EU. So how on earth am I going to get around this challenge? I have made up some very clever filters which allow me to search for the exact players I need. I have got every single nationality in South America listed here to be partially from. So we're allowed to sign 3 players that have at least that. And when we run out of that, we have to tick they are also partially an EU national. So someone up here like Nahuel Esteves is Argentinian. But luckily for us, in its information, he is also other nationalities listed as Spanish. So for us, that is going to be how we are going to get around the registration rules. It is going to be very tough. Believe it or not, when a wonder kid comes through in Argentina, which is where most wonder kids come from, they don't often have Italian or Spanish nationality as their second. They're normally just straight up Argentinian. So we've got to hope that some of these absolute superstars that come through in FM are also available to us that will be able to be EU national as well. It's going to be very tough because not only are we a brand new promoted club, so we're going to be competing against some of the best teams in the world. I mean, for example, we have started the season here, and at the first game is a -4 goal difference. Of course, we faced up against Real Madrid. We got 2 red cards and got absolutely battered. And this is after me making a whole host of signings as well. So this challenge is not going to be easy. So do me a massive favor and smash the like button on this video because it is going to be an absolute challenge and you're going to come along the journey with me as well as we turn Elche from newly promoted side to European dominators with only South American talent. It doesn't sound realistic, but we're going to do it. Now, as I said, I've already been very busy in the transfer market and I've spent just under £12 million and £6 million of that is on our star midfielder, who I think could genuinely be with us to the very end of this video. So get ready to fall in love with Mateus Galarazza, a Paraguayan central midfielder signed from Talleres. He is great in big matches, he has great mental stats, good physicals and good technicals. Looking into his information though, he has nothing in terms of EU, but he is a star player and is going to be fantastic for us throughout this rebuild. Cost me £5.5 million, but I firmly believe this guy is an absolute star. However, the next player I have signed is part Italian, part Argentinian. It's Nicolas Thaler, a 25-year-old centre-back for love of big matches, good defending, good mental, good physical stats. Cost me £2.7 million. He has just had a 6.3. The poor lad's just had his debut against Kylian Mbappe. Leave him alone, all right? He's part Italian, part Argentinian. He's 25 years of age and he looks absolutely fantastic. Very, very well-rounded and comes in straight away as one of the best centre-backs at the club. Moving on, we have Brazilian winger Marcinho coming in from Kawasaki in Japan. Another player that does not have any EU nationality, but looks like someone which can perform in Spain straight away. Good speed, good dribbling, good flair, and we need a little bit of that attacking talent. Back to our Argentinian Italian ways, we've signed Adolfo Gaich coming in from Antalyaspor in Turkey. He is very well-rounded, he is 6'4", and he is very consistent. He looks like a really good, well-rounded striker and is 25 years of age as well, so comes in with a little bit of experience. The goal scorer from our game against Real Madrid was 24-year-old Tobias Reinhardt. He's consistent, he likes big matches, and of course scored a goal in his opening game. He's quite well-rounded, he's quite a good squad player, and cost us just 600k. Past that, it was two squad rotational players, Gary Kakalamaker, who is a Uruguayan-German centre-back with high determination, but he is 36 and is probably going to be here for just one season. And Rafinha, coming in from El Arabi. Now, Rafinha is now 31 years of age, but he's consistent, he likes big matches, and he's a creative genius in the midfield. Checking out his information, he also has Spanish as a second nationality, which is so helpful, because I believe someone like this, who's not quite had his career going, but has played at huge clubs, can come here at Elche, a club needing a creator, and absolutely dominate. He did grab a red card, probably trying to break Mbappe's legs. So, yeah. But anyway, once that is all done, we have got our two foreign players into the side, and we actually still have space for another as well. As I was doing this, I didn't actually know it would go up to 3, moving up to the first tier. So it's quite a big dub that we've built this squad with only 2 foreign players. And this is the team that we will be using as well. I have gone to try and build a fancy team. We are using inverted fullbacks, inverted wingbacks, trying to play that South American style of play with short tiki-taka passing and building out from the back. As a newly promoted club, as you've just seen with a 5-1 battering of Real Madrid, that might not be possible, but we're certainly going to try. In goal, we keep Axel Werner, Affenbrugger and Thaler are our 2 new centre-backs. Bigas and Nunes make up our back 4. Bigas is the perfect inverted fullback. So we've got a great base of our back 3, meaning Nunes can go in the midfield alongside Alex Fibas, who was a joy to watch when I watched him in real life. We then have Galarazza playing as that deep playing playmaker next to Fernandez Macau, who is a left wing back that can play in the midfield. So I'm very excited to see how he progresses. Oscar Planio on the left, Marcinho on the right, and Adolfo Gaich up top. And in terms of our backups, we have some decent players. Rafinha here is probably going to get a lot of minutes in the midfield. Murad, who seems to be a little bit of a cult hero at Elche, is probably going to get lots of minutes up front as well, rotating with Gaich. Obviously, we are not clearing out the squad straight away to be South American only. It would be virtually impossible, and I am going to try and do this rebuild as fun but also realistic-ish as possible. We're looking to sign players which will be willing to come to a club like Elche. If they've been stuck in Spain for 4 years, they're 22 years of age, need that big move, but no one's coming in, we're going to go out there and try and find them stars, and it's going to be a very fun rebuild. So make sure you're grabbing yourself that popcorn and getting ready, because in terms of our competitions, we're expected to fight bravely against relegation. Bravely we shall fight. It is very close between us and Alaves in 17th place, and even really Mallorca in 16th. From there, I think the likes of Espanyol are way too good for us, and eventually we're going to have to battle the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Bilbao, Villarreal, Real Sociedad, Real Betis, Sevilla, Valencia, even the likes of Girona and Celta Vigo. I would say that top 11 is so strong in Spain. So breaking into that is going to be very tough, but a challenge that I'm more than up for. Well, the Club World Cup has kicked up some seriously interesting results, and I've been playing FDF during the Club World Cup, and you guys can too, using the link in the description. I made the big mistake of going heavy on Manchester City players, so I had the likes of Haaland, Marmoush, Shirky, Edison, Ruben Diaz, Ait Nouri, all of my initial 1,000 coins that I got for starting off with the round of 16 onwards in FDF. I put into City players because I was like, there's no way they lose to Al Hilal. They did. And the one time I backed City, they failed me, which is why I absolutely hate them. As a United fan, I'm embarrassed of myself I even done it. I should have gone big on Marcos Leonardo, knowing he'd have smashed it, especially as an FM player. If you guys want to get involved in FDF, the link is down below. It is still in beta phase. We are testing throughout the Club World Cup, and next season it will be available in the top 5 leagues, which is going to be incredible. So if you want to get playing, get testing early, this is the time to do it, and the next season it's going to be insane. I think it's safe to say it was a bit of a baptism of fire coming into the La Liga this season, as we lost 3 out of our first 5, finally beat Granada, and then in the next 3 games conceded 5 twice. Using these inverted wingbacks and fullbacks as a newly promoted side is proving difficult, but it does seem like we are learning the system slowly. We won against Valencia and Mallorca, and even drew against Girona, and only lost 1-0 against Barcelona. We beat Villarreal, lost to Alaves, but beat Real Betis, drew to Levante, and then we also beat Murcia in the Spanish Cup first round, and then lost to Ponferradina in the Spanish Cup second round. A club we really should be beating. But overall, the start to the Spanish journey here has been so tough, and it's partly down to the tactics and partly down to the fact our side is just not good enough. But we were okay. We've managed to survive in the first season on 32 points. The only difficulty is I'm looking up the table and realising that both Real Madrid and Barcelona got treble the amount of points as us, as Barcelona actually get 103 points, while we survive by just 3. Now, I know that is a long way away, but seeing a side get 100 points, I wonder if that's ever going to be us. In terms of goals, Barca scored 108. If we check out the amount of goals we scored this season, it was 34. We scored less than a goal a game, and in terms of conceding goals, we conceded 64, nearly 2 goals a game. So while this tactic is very fun, and I'm probably going to use it for most of the rebuild, because I want to try and rebuild this side using a fun 4-3-3, it does make it very difficult. And we really struggled in this system to keep goals out, but also score goals. Our top goal scorer was Adolfo Gaich, who scored 12. It then drops off to 35-year-old Yosan with 6 and 31-year-old Jairo with 5. Murad, as the backup, only scored 2. And then our star signing, Galaratza, got 3 goal contributions in 28 games. You can see we really do not score goals at all. And that is going to be a big thing in this rebuild, is trying to find a striker that can come in and do that job, also being within our budget. We have just £8.5 million after season 1. Well, we've got a big wage budget. That's not that helpful. In terms of our finances, it's going to be hard, but I would like to try and keep this as positive as possible. We are down to £11.5 million, and our transfer revenue is 55%. Now, my kind of thought process is here: if we sign a player from Argentina who's 18 years of age, comes in, absolutely smashes it, we can sell him to the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona for 100 million. It happens. So if we can get that up to 100% revenue, we can, I think that's how we move on to the next level, basically. Sell an absolute star wonder kid to a huge side, and then we'll be able to build a Champions League side with the money we get from that one player with our smart scouting. I was going to say as well, if you guys do want to use these filters, they'll all be up on the Patreon for free to be able to use. So if you want to do this sort of challenge where you're signing just Argentinian, well, South American players that are partially also EU or not EU, that'll all be linked down below, so you guys can go and do that. It's actually really fun. It took me quite a while to set up the filters to actually work as well, but it's very fun, and it actually makes a very nice twist to the rebuild. I've done the same in Africa with FC Lorient, and it was amazing, and I've got one coming up soon with a German side only using German players, which is going to be very, very tough. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have got some absolutely banging rebuilds coming out, and over 70% of you that are currently watching this are not subscribed. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and get us to 20k before FM26. So in our quest for more goals, we stumbled across Nicolo Tresdil, and I know what you're thinking, this guy's Italian. I didn't know either. This guy was part Argentinian, which makes this amazing and very, very helpful for this challenge, because this guy is an absolute bagsman on FM. He's consistent, he's 6 foot tall, and his stats are very well rounded. Comparing him to the likes of Adolfo Gaich, He's a little bit of a smaller player, not quite as well-rounded just yet, but he has that speed, and that's something that I think is so important on FM, and I think he's going to be a massive upgrade in attack. I've also made the signing of Thomas Kempi from Alaves as a brand new rotational winger. In terms of keeping goals out, we've got 3 signings. Number 1 is Victor Bobsin, a defence midfielder that plays that deep lane playmaker role to an absolute T. Unreal passing, good defensive stats, consistent, likes big matches. I believe he is split nationality, Brazilian and Spanish, which is amazing. And we've signed him from Daejeon in Korea for just £1.5 million, which is brilliant. This guy is a massive upgrade in that strong defensive midfield position. And then looking into the defenders, we've signed Ruan, a Brazilian centre-back from Sassuolo, who is also part Italian. He is 6'2" and very aggressive, which is something we needed to add to the side. And Austin Gia as a brand new right wing-back, as that inverted wing-back on support. He suits the role down to a T. My only issue is a little bit inconsistent and injury prone, so I'm hoping it works out. But if not, we'll be able to sell him for what we brought him for. He cost us just £2 million, and I think will be a very good signing. So with them new players, here is your new look Elche side with Tresdil up front, Koneshi Marcinho as the front 3, Fernandez, Mercado, Galarza, and Victor Bobsin as the DM, Bigas, Tale, Affenbrugger, Gia, and then Axel Werner still in goal. I do think the rotations have taken a massive upgrade with them few signings. Just moving out a few first team players as rotational players in the top tier of Spain is very necessary. And I think that have done very well for our chances here in the Spanish First Division. I mean, we're up to 18th rather than 19th, which is good. It's not a massive upgrade, but again, I think between sort of 12th and 20th is very tight. And then from there, you start to look at some really, really tough opponents to get into that mid-table and then European stage. So that's something we're going to be looking to do eventually. One thing I want to mention as well is Elche's youth. They have pretty poor youth recruitment, but good facilities in terms of youth and training. So if we get any superstars come through the academy, I will also be using these in the team, despite them potentially not being from South America. They're young players that have been brought up through the club in the under-19s. I'm not going to go and get rid of them just because they're not from South America. I hope you guys understand that in this challenge, while I'm only making signings that are South American, I am going to use players that come up through the club that maybe aren't, because again, why not? It's June 2025. We're playing FM 2024. It was released in 2023. Let me do it. But anyway, this season was a resounding success. We massively improved on last year, which is something which I wasn't sure was going to happen, but it looks like our brand new signings are going to be very good for us. Koneshi scored an early goal there to make it 1-0, and then it was our brand new striker signing who managed to get himself on the score sheet. Nico grabbed one there in the 35th minute, and then moving on to the mid-60s, you can see the high press of Fibas finds Marcinho, and Nico was never going to miss from there in a dominating 3-0 win against Alaves, who were a team we were battling last season with for relegation. And while there still was some absolutely horrendous losses, like the 7-0 at home to Real Madrid, we managed to finish up in 14th place on 47 points, which I believe is 13 points better off than last season, and we only spent £6 million in the summer, which is really good. Straight away, you can see we have kind of broke clear of the bottom 5, Alaves and Eibar on below 40 points, then a 10-point gap to Villarreal and then ourselves. And from there, it is only 9 points to Real Betis in a European spot. And I think that's achievable in a couple of seasons' time. Now, in this rebuild, I do want to win the Champions League. I believe we are going to go until we win the Champions League as well. It's going to be tough to do so, but having a team full of South Americans only win a Champions League seems quite fitting. And of course, we want to win the La Liga many, many times if we can. I mean, beating the likes of Madrid and Barcelona over a whole season, to me, is actually more impressive than winning the Champions League, because they've got 97 points apiece. I'm meant to get to basically in a Centurion season only signing South American players. I mean, this is going to be very, very tough. But as I said, we're in June 2025. It's time to have some fun with some very difficult challenges. Now, in terms of goals this season, Nico did grab 3 more than Gage got last season. And in terms of the others, they didn't really improve too much. Marcinho did grab 15 goal contributions, so at least we had a second player scoring goals. But after Gage grabbed 5, Fibas grabbed 4, Koneshi grabbed 3, we were down to just 2 players scoring 1 and no one else scored a goal all season. I mean, we literally had 7 goal scorers. This tactic might not be the best tactic. I'm completely honest here. I am not a tactic creator. I've made some very good tactics in my time. I'm quite good at making the realistic tactics. But knowing what's broken in FM is not me at all. I know that wing backs on attack are broken. I've gone away with that with inverted fullbacks and inverted wing backs. I know that inside forwards are broken. I've gone with wingers on attack. So we are using something not meta at all here and surviving, which is good. So by the end of it, we should have a team which is very, very strong because we're using a tactic which is not very strong and the team has to carry us to titles. So that's exciting. We're not just relying on a tactic, we're relying on good, heavy scouting. And it's safe to say things are going very well. And well, for Season 3, a signing we made was absolutely game-changing. We had a free agent contract given to Renier, a player which Real Madrid bought back in 2019. He is part Spanish because of that and part Brazilian. A free agent contract on £27,500, and he was a huge difference maker this season. Our other signings, Joaquin Sota, Lucas Roman and Anderson Arroyo, were not quite as good, but with that signing of Renier, he helped us straight away get up to 8th place in the league this season, finishing on 58 points. Now, sadly, we're not going to be getting a Conference League spot for that, like Betis did last season. But that one signing, having a creative player in the midfield, changed things massively. You can see that we've got him sitting out here in the left wing position, but he mainly played in this deep-lying playmaker role next to Gadarazza, and we had a creative midfield, which was so important for us. And that massively helped with our goals as well, because Nico then went and grabbed 21, and a whole bunch of other players were scoring goals. It wasn't like we had 2 players scoring goals. There was now 15 that had managed to get onto the score sheet, which is fantastic. We have also had our first wonder kid come through the academy. It's Manuel Martinez, a 5-star 18-year-old who is extremely consistent. I'm hoping this guy is going to be a massive difference maker for us. Of course, as mentioned, he is just Spanish. There is no South American in him, but he's come up through the academy, so he is going to be staying at the club. In terms of some of our star players, if we sort this, you can see we've still got David Affenbrugger and Nicolas Fernandez Mercal here from the original side. And then our new signing, Renier, is our 3rd best player. Matias Gadarazza is a superstar in midfield, cost us just £6 million and has been brilliant every season. And Nico is bagging in the goals. Now, his value has not shot up just yet, but I think in the next 2 to 3 seasons, I will probably cash in on Nico because he's unhappy because, well, let me guess, he wants to move the squad of a stronger squad and he's wanted by a bunch of different clubs. I need double that amount of money because in the next 2 or 3 seasons, there is going to be some crazy wonder kids come from South America. It's always the way on FM. You get towards the year 2030, you got a 6'6", 20 pace Argentinian striker with 19 finishing. I just need to find them players before they go to other clubs. And if we can cash in on Nico, massively improve our financial position, and then go and get them bargains, we'll be absolutely laughing. And we're laughing even harder now because we've got Franco Mastantuono, the player that has just signed for Real Madrid in real life. Well, here on FM, he's had 3 appearances at River Plate in the last 4 seasons. So £5.5 million. I'm saving a wonder kid because he's not got picked up by a big club here on FM just yet. And he's absolutely incredible. Again, this could be a massive money maker for us. We could get £70 million for him, I genuinely believe, in a season or 2's time. He has got unreal technical stats, great mental stats with great flair, and his physical is really good as well. The only worrying thing is his poor consistency and his injury proneness, which is very rare for Franco. I don't think I've ever seen that before. We know this guy's an absolute supreme talent in real life. I mean, Madrid have just dropped £50 million on him. And here on FM, I'm going to try and turn him into that absolute world beater, but at Elche, not Real Madrid. My next signing is a rotational midfielder in Nahuel Estevez. We touched on him at the very start of this rebuild. He cost me just £300,000. He's a great rotational player. Before I then found, I think, our star inverted wingback. Austin G.A. did not work out, but Gilmar Laura looks like he could. He is extremely consistent, good on both feet, and has all the perfect stats. The only issue is both him and Franco do not have any EU nationality. Luckily, my next signing did. It was Pedro Sommer. I signed this guy because he looks cool. He came through the Barcelona academy. Well, I don't know what's happened there, to be honest. He come through an academy, went to Barcelona. They obviously saw something in him. He's then gone to DC United. We've picked him out for 1.5 million because he's playing a bunch of games there. He looks quite fun. He's only 21 years of age and he's American, but also Brazilian and Spanish. So quite a cool little player in Pedro Sommer. And with them brand new signings, this is how the side looked. We had moved to making a halfback to make a new back three and have our two inverted wing backs being our midfield outlet. We then had Renier and Galarraza in midfield, Koneshi and Mastantuono as the wingers, and Nico up front. The team has come on leaps and bounds in just a season and a half. And I believe this season, while we finished 8th last season, that is last season's table, I think we can break into that top 6. The likes of Bilbao, Real Sociedad, a little bit of an off season this year. If they do that again, with our brand new signings that have come in, I don't see a reason we can't get an extra 3 points. That's literally all we need. 3 points gets us Europa Conference League football. So let's go out there and try and make it happen. We've only gained 2 points, but we've made it happen. Luckily, the fall off of Girona is something that needs to be studied, as they dropped down to 8th place and Atletico Madrid dropped down to 9th, opening up 2 spots for us to go up into. And of course, we take that with both hands. Barcelona finish on 104 points once again, and despite Mbappe scoring 43 goals, Real Madrid finishing on 95. So there's a long way to get to that stage. But we have, after 4 seasons, broken in to the European places. Now, yes, it is the Conference League. You guys know my thoughts on the Conference League. I think it's a competition which is the easiest competition to win here on Football Manager. So based on that, we should be able to take Elche now to the Europa League in next season. And if we can somehow stay in the top 10 while winning the Conference League, I'll be absolutely over the moon. The most thing I'm over the moon with is our brand new signing, Franco Mastantuono. 17 goal contributions this season is brilliant. Renier grabbed 15 and Galarraza also grabbed 14. While Nico still scored 20 goals, we can see he is now wanted by Leeds and Sunderland and has a much bigger value. We get an offer in that range, I'm taking it, and I'm going to go and try and find a wonder kid. From there, the goals did obviously fall off a cliff a little bit, but in terms of average rating, Axel Werner still performing goal, which is great. Estevez, the rotation, really good. Alex Vibas from the start has been here, a player that I loved watching in real life, a very nippy little midfielder, 5'8", gets on the ball, dictates play. Captain of the club right now, contract ending this summer though, so we're going to have to try and replace that. But hats off to Alex. He's got Elche to a European side, has been here since dropping down to the 2nd tier. So what an absolute hero in Febas we have. In terms of the rest of the players though, things are going very well, and financially things are going well. Now that we're in European football, we've managed to stay above the red line the whole time, and that is now going to just shoot up. We're in European football now. There is no reason we should ever go down into the negative again, unless I overspend on wonder kids and never sell anyone for profit, which I suppose is a chance, but as things stand, it's looking good. Nico has stayed at the club for at least 1 more season, and we have finally brought in our first true wonder kid. Thiago Bosa comes in from Athletic Tucumán in Argentina. He has come in as a star player, a midfielder with that real creative outlet, allowing us to put Renier back on that left wing and have a creator next to Galarraza. And well, there might have to be a little bit of rotation because we also signed Facundo Pellistri. I loved this guy at United. He's someone that ran and gave everything for the ball. Every time you watched him, he was full of effort. He is now part Spanish. I don't know if that was the case already. It probably was because he's not been at a club long enough. There you go, Alaves between 20 and 2022. He is extremely consistent. He cost me just £4.3 million after Leipzig spent 17.5 on him just a couple of seasons ago when he was smashing it in Greece. He went out on loan to Stuttgart, did fairly well. Went out on loan to Dortmund, did absolutely nothing. And then we poached him for £4.3 million. He comes in as a star player, a 4-star current ability player, And I mean, that just kind of shows the level we are over progressing to right now. This guy is a superstar, but actually on FM, I think he is a superstar. Next up is another one of them little risk-taking wonder kids. It's Juan Carlos Gomez. He comes in as a midfielder, but I think mainly as a centre-back because he's decent. He's 6'1". He's got great mental stats and his defensive stats are pretty good while being just 18 years of age. He currently can't play in that DM role, so that's something that I think might need to be trained. Because as a centre mid, I think he lacks a little bit of the technical side of things. I mean, you can see that with forward dribbling. So as a centre-back, I think he could be really good. He's one of them that does not have any Spanish nationality, so after 730 days, he will eventually gain that, which is good. And I'm going to be keeping him in the club to get that and hopefully progress into a star centre-back in a few years' time. So for now, I've gone out there and loaned in with the purchase option of Nicolas Valentini from Torino. The purchase option, I believe, is just £3.8 million. It is a mandatory one. He's consistent, he loves big matches, and he's very well-rounded and will do a really good job at centre-back for at least another 3 or 4 seasons. So you can see we've really gone in on improving the overall squad this season because it's something we need to do now we're in European football. We have much more squad rotation and I believe a much stronger squad thanks to these signings, and I now believe we can finish in the top 10 and win the Conference League. That has to be the goal for this season. One position I have not improved once yet is the goalkeeper position of Axel Werner. He's been okay for us, to be honest. Average rating wise, he has picked up as the team has got better, conceding just 34 last season. But at 32 years of age, he will start declining in the next couple of seasons. My issue is finding a goalkeeper that is part of South American, that is willing to come to the club, that doesn't cost £1 billion, is so difficult. This is a guy I am keeping tabs on, Diego Coshen. He come through at Barcelona. He's been out on loan at Zaragoza last season and done really well. And now he's played a couple of games for Barcelona, the season just gone. He is someone I'm keeping an eye on to potentially come in and be our goalkeeper. He is American with Peruvian, Venezuelan, and Spanish other nationalities, which is cool. Diego Calai is another one, but someone which hasn't really progressed too much. I kind of need a superstar wonder kid goalkeeper to come through, and I just don't believe this guy is him. There's way too many stats which do not suit the way we play at all. Ball playing goalkeeper with 2 first touch is absolutely terrifying. So he's not going to be the guy at all. And there's not really many other options. So either we need one of these two to progress like an absolute god, or a wonder kid to come through. So the goalkeeper position, I think, is something which might hold us back in the next few years if we don't find a star. That wasn't for us to worry about right now. We had a Conference League to go and win, and we finished up in the top 8 in the knockout league phase. In the round of 16, we made things difficult, but we snuck past Young Boys on penalties. Despite Kaneshi missing, we just about beat them. We beat them 1-0 in the first leg, and despite dominating them at home, they managed to just put the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, we had to go to penalties, and luckily we beat them. And in the quarterfinal, it was Franco Mastantuono which showed his true quality, as he was the only goal scorer in a 1-0 victory over Freiburg. The second leg was a 1-1 draw, so we were zooming straight on to the semi-finals after just 2 legs, beating just Freiburg and Young Boys. As I said, it really is one of the easiest competitions to win on FM. But up next was Aston Villa, and we drew 1-1 in the first leg. Luckily enough for us, we did manage to grab an early lead thanks to loanee centre-back Valenti heading home, earning his £3.8 million transfer straight away. But Aston Villa were a very, very talented side. Morgan Rogers whipping it into the back stick, and Ramsey heads home in the 71st minute. But in the 95th minute, we had our own talented players. I mean, just look at Franco here, right? Drifting in off the left, beats a man, and just places it into the bottom corner. That goal was in the 95th minute to send us into the final of the Conference League. And I think it's safe to say Madrid, if he does anything like that, they've got another talent on their hands. And in the final, we were facing up against Lazio, and it was a much less interesting game. Nico scored in 1 minute and 50 seconds, and that was it. And Elche were champions of the Conference League. To be fair, quite a difficult run. We beat Villa, we beat Lazio, we beat Freiburg, 3 teams from the top 5 nations, which is quite rare to get that sort of draw in the Conference League. But we had done it, which is absolutely massive. We have won the Conference League, and it's a competition which I would always like to win. It's something I think we always should win as a manager here on FM, and we've gone and done that. In terms of our Spanish First Division performance, we did drop us down to 46 points. It's always tough that first season in Europe, trying to build a squad of players which are also able to compete on a bunch of other games, and I think we've done okay. We've not got relegated. I'm probably 5 or 6, but I'd like to be 50 points plus, and we're not, which is a little bit disappointing. We kind of need to just move on from that. If we check out the competition screen, you can see we started the season in really awful form, and then in our final 4 games, we just lost every game as well. So yeah, there's a couple of dips in form here and there, and a good bit of form in the middle of the season where there probably wasn't as many European games to go and play. But overall, we've done very well. And again, Nico scoring a whole host of goals, 26 this season. Franco grabbed 8, Palestri grabbed 8, Renier grabbed 7, Galarazza 12 goal contributions with 9 assists. New wonder kid Bosa with 7 in 37 games. Juan Carlos actually played a bunch of games as well and got 5 goal contributions, which is great to see. And Nico now, I think it's time to potentially move on. He is running out of that potential. I think he's maxed out where he is. I actually don't even know if any of his stats have gone up since we've had him. He's someone which sometimes grows mentally and sometimes don't. I mean, look at that. He's gone up probably 6 stats overall, and nothing in terms of an important striker stats other than composure has gone up +1. So I think potentially this is his max value at around £35 million. And if I can find someone to replace him, I will do it, because 20 goals might sound a lot, but it's not too difficult to replace here on FM. But to be honest, I just couldn't find a striker which was a guaranteed 20 goals, so I'm going to risk it for one more season. I'm really hoping he doesn't have an absolute tanker of a season and we lose all the value we have in him. I would 100% take £29 million for him. There honestly wasn't any offers coming in, and I'm not going to sell him for anything less than 20. And while I can't find an absolute bagsman as well, it kind of doesn't make sense to sell him just to sell him. Now, I did find a striker and someone that has elite potential. It's Carlos Vinicius, coming in from the Red Bull Brazilian team, and he looks really good. I have just a few reservations with him. He's got 5-star potential, which is brilliant. He's 6'2", which is brilliant, and his speed is good. His finishing composure is good, and his work rate is good. He's just one of them where he's only 20 years of age. He's never really scored a bunch of goals in a good league. I mean, you moved him up into the second tier of Brazilian football. We scored 2 goals and got 4 assists. So when he was playing in the third tier, yeah, he was going to bag loads of goals. Very cool, by the way, to see that he's come through from the third tier of Brazil. Santo Andrade, a team with pretty much no youth recruitment, and this guy is now at the top tier of Spain, which is very cool. But again, also kind of a worry, because how likely is it that a 170 potential ability striker is going to come through from them leagues? Now, as a risk-free signing, £2.6 million. I'm hoping it's going to be a good one, but it wasn't someone that I could guarantee would replace Nico's goals. So he's going to come in and be a rotation for us. Now, because of our recent streak of not really trying to sign too many players with the EU nationality as well, and just bring in stars that are based in South America, which will eventually get EU nationality, it meant the next few signings did drop off in quality a little bit. Jadel was a, £1 million signing from Huesca. He is Portuguese and Brazilian coming in there. So someone very different to sign. He's a left winger. He has some good stats. Dribbling and pace is good and he's consistent. And he's 20 years of age. You never know, he might turn into something very good. And for £1.4 million, he really did just become a really good squad player. Obviously, we made the permanent signing of Nicolas Valenti, and he comes straight in as our new vice captain. And then we found a wonder kid that I just couldn't turn down. He's not got any EU nationality in him, but Francisco Chavez has to join the club. He is a 4-star current player, 5-star potential player. Media personality when I signed him was wonder kid. He has 19 determination, 17 teamwork, 16 decisions as a 19-year-old defensive midfielder. Also unreal on both feet. Mentally, he's already there. If he progresses his technicals just a little bit further, he genuinely would be one of the best defensive midfielders on the game. And like I've said, he is just fully Argentinian. In 730 days, he becomes Spanish. Well, part Spanish. He cost me £6 million. He's performed very well at News Old Boys in the top of the Spanish division. And for £6 million, a wonder kid DM, it just means we're going to have to leave someone out of the squad. But Francisco needs to be in, and is a signing I just had to make. Pedro Lima also ends up joining the squad from Wolves for just £3 million. And then I had a bit of a surprise when I went into the registration because players have become part Spanish. Franco Mastantuono is now part Spanish, and that instantly cleared up the Francisco Chavez spot. And Pedro Lima also was not any EU nationality at all, but there's been another place open up. I can't really remember who it was from, but another place has opened up and we managed to register him as well. So we have managed to do an absolute wondrous thing here with our young players, which have now become, it's Thiago Bosa, also now becoming a Spanish national, which is great because we managed to get players in and become Spanish nationals really quickly, and then we have to bring in wonder kids. And Pedro Lima, fantastic right back. Gomez, still 4-star potential, and Chavez, potentially the best player in the world. I mean, he's our best player straight away, and he's 19. The team looks very good. Franco, Palestri and Trezeguet up front. Galarraza and Renier in the centre midfielder roles. Chavez in DM. Pedro Lima and Fernandez Macau as the wing-backs. And yes, we have wing-backs. I have gone to wing-backs on attack. I have got wingers on attack. And I've got advanced forwards on attack. I am not playing inverted wing-backs anymore. I am going very attacking. I'm being very, very aggressive. Because if we're not going to play inverted wing-backs, we might as well have some fun. Go hell for leather trying to score loads of goals. Goalkeeper situation, still an issue. Axel Werner is a 2-star now and is still the best option out there. I say that because I went for Diego Cochen and he rejected me and joined Bayer Leverkusen instead. His stats, I've fully scouted him. I think he's very, very good for what we can find out there. He's not an absolute world beater for sure. Comparing him to Axel Werner, he is a little bit better. Physicals, he's down in, but shot stopping, distribution, aerial, eccentricity, communication, and speed, he's better. He's 23. He would have cost us £1.9 million. And he went to Bayer Leverkusen instead, which is so frustrating. I tried, but sadly, he didn't join us. Maybe in a couple of seasons' time, we'll go back in for him if it doesn't work out, and hopefully he'll be our number one. So I highly doubt he's going to be Bayer Leverkusen's number one. Hopefully for us, he sees that and he joins us in a few years' time. Of course, this season we are in the Europa League and of course, once again, in the Spanish First Division. Just again, showing our progression. We were down here in 19th when we started off. We have now broken into that top 11 and are even better than Real Betis, which is amazing. Catching up to the likes of Real San Sebastian and Athletic Bilbao in terms of our squad is the next stage to really progress as a consistent European side and be able to get their mid-50s, 60 points while playing European football. So that's the next phase in this rebuild. So let's get into it. With this new tactic and with our new signings, we were absolutely cooking. Pedro Lima whipping it in, Palestri heading home. You're going to see here a game against Real Betis where we scored 3 goals in 3 minutes. Pedro Lima then finds Mastantuono to find Nico in the box to make it 2. And when I say this is literally 30 seconds later, I mean it's literally 30 seconds later. Fernandez, Galarraza, Palestri cuts from the left-hand side and fires home for 3-0. We ended up beating them 4-0 in this game and just shows the slight tactical tweaks we've made to being slightly more meta and attacking. Well, they have certainly helped because we are a much better side. It wasn't just that victory this season. We were scoring a whole host of goals and beating teams left, right and centre. For example, in the first 8 games, we won 7 and only lost to Barcelona, where we're using our super attacking tactic. Of course, we would concede 4, and it was the exact same against Real Madrid. But the rest of the league, we're just getting pulled apart. Another winning month of October. We lost 2 in the month of November, but won 3. And in December, just 1 loss against Atletico Madrid. It seems like we have taken a huge step to becoming the best of the rest, leaving ahead the Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid and Barcelona, but it seemed like we were certainly going to be challenging for the positions above that. In the Europa League, we had a great campaign, but sadly got stopped by Eintracht Frankfurt in a 3-1 loss on aggregate, who then eventually lost to Brighton in the final on penalties. I'd like to have had that penalty because I think we would have had a good chance of beating them. We beat Lazio again, becoming a little bit of a thorn in their side in the quarterfinals. And in the round of 16, we managed to beat Sevilla 5-3. And over the course of the Sevilla season, Sevilla were just getting battered by us every single game. So this season, we were very impressive. And I mentioned last year I wanted to be in that mid-50s tally, trying to get to be in a consistent Champions League and Europa League side. Well, how does 64 points sound? It sounds fantastic. 64 points with Europa League football is a massive, yes, massive improvement on last season. We were down on 46. We have climbed 18 points with a slight tactical change and a few new extra signings, and the team was now performing at a much better rate. Don't get me wrong, we're nowhere near the 90 points of Atletico, Real and Barcelona, but we are clear now of the likes of Granada, Almira, Atletico Pamplona. We had cleared them and we were now fighting Valencia, Vigo, Villarreal, Bilbao for consistent European places. And the one thing that changed massive this season was the goal scored. We were actually on this list for the first time with 63 goals, and the amount of goals coming from different places was beautiful. Nico scored 28, Palestri scored 17, Renier scored 15, and even the new player, Carlos Vinicius, scored 13. Franco scored 8 and got 13 assists, and Matias Galarraza scored 7 and got 10 assists. This guy's been here from day one, and he's progressed with us, and he's been an unreal signing. I am so happy to have got this guy in. He has been absolutely brilliant. And Carlos Vinicius in his first season here, grabbing 13 goals and 4 assists, is incredibly impressive. 7 of them were on the Europa League as well, so he can perform on the big stage. Nico has now got that 32 to 39 pound value, not pound, million pound value to clarify. Scoring 21 goals in 22 games in the league is very impressive. Did have a big injury this season, but there is now a club interested in him that we're probably going to sell him to. Al Ali. I mean, Al Ali are going to come in and offer 30 million surely. And because of the goals we've seen from Carlos Vinicius and the goals we're seeing from the rest of the positions in the club now, not just from the striker, I am confident we can sell Nico and move on this season. So that is the game plan. And then sadly, next season, we're not actually in the Champions League either. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. We're cutting back. We finished 5th, but got Europa League football, which is so frustrating because I believe it was last season, the 28-29, 5th place got Champions League football. Sadly, not this year. That would have been a game changer for us financially. We'd have been able to spend so much more money, and we wouldn't have even had to really worry about selling Nico. While playing Europa League football and Conference League football is good financially, we are still just about floating above, going down to the red on £11 million. Transfer budget, 16.8. Wage budget, 654k. We are still doing quite well, I believe, punching above our weight in terms of the money we are spending. Salary per annum, we are down in 15th place, and we finished in 5th. And we are on 25, and they are on 60. So we're doing very well in terms of the wage budget we've got. We're trying to keep doing that. Keep making them small wins and signing them wonder kids, which are making huge differences to our performance. I can't believe it. He's like a bad smell. We can't get money for Nico, right? I have offered this guy out. We were offered £12 million for a striker that's just scored 21 goals in 22 games and got up to 7.38. I'm not selling him for that, so I'll just keep him. At some point, we're going to have to replace Nico and get a superstar wonder kid striker. But for now, I'm just not selling him for £12 million. It makes literally 0 sense. The good thing is, we have our goalkeeper. Diego Cochen played a bunch of games for Leverkusen last season and was actually their number 1. They signed him for 1.9 million, which rose to 2.4 with add-ons, etc. They've sold him to us for £7.2 million. I suppose they know they can go and get someone of a very similar quality. For us, that's not possible. This guy is our best option at being partly South American. Of course, he is an American international now, but with that, I mean, he's got 3 nationalities, hasn't he? Peru and Venezuela and Spanish nationality. We had to bring him in. He's extremely consistent. He loves big matches. He's cost us £7 million. We finally have a brand new number 1. Now, I didn't show you this, but after a few seasons, I decided to sell Austin GA to Defensia as he become very much a rotation option. We brought in Lorma from Peru to come in and be our starting right back. We sold him there for 275k, and I needed a right back again. So £1 million, I brought him in. I mean, maybe as a wing back on attack, he's going to perform better. To be honest, he just fits the bill, and I'm quite happy to have him as a rotation option now. I wanted him to be a superstar and our starter. Didn't quite work out. I shipped him off. I've spent an extra 700k. I've lost a little bit of money on bringing him back in. But to be honest, I think it's a great piece of business. We then signed another Peruvian midfielder. It's Alessandro Berlam-Cui, who comes in as a part Spanish, part Brazilian, part Peruvian midfielder with really good decision making and leadership and elite consistency. He cost me 375k. He's playing at Intercity in real life, who are a club based close to Elche, so he knows the area. Moved to Peru, has done very well, and we've now poached him for 300k. We'll certainly take that. He looks like a great squad option. And to finish off the transfer window, we've signed potentially the future best centre-back in the world. He is a driven Colombian 19-year-old centre-back. It's Steven Baldovino, coming in from Independiente Medellin. He has 5 caps for the Colombian national team. He has 19 determination. He has elite consistency, great speed, great defensive stats. And guess what? He has got no EU nationality, but in just 725 days, he will be a part Spanish international. Very similar to Francisco Chavez, who came in. It's worth the risk. This guy's now made 2 appearances for Argentina, and he's growing at a crazy level. It's worth bringing them in, just holding on to the fact that we can't sign any other foreign players for a couple of seasons, and bringing in these super wonder kids, because in 2.5 seasons' time, they'll move out of their foreign positions and we'll be able to get someone else in, which is an absolute dream. And I think you'll all agree that this team now is incredibly, incredibly strong. We have a superstar wonder kid centre-back, a superstar wonder kid DM. We still have 2 players from the initial Elche side in the defence, and then GA coming in as a rotation option with youngster Adrian, Koshen as a brand new goalkeeper, Renier and Galarazza in midfield, Franco at right wing, Palestri at left wing, and somehow still Nico up front. I certainly thought we'd have some unbelievable wonder kid in this position by now. We're in 2030. It's not quite happened just yet. Carlos Vinicius is here as the rotation striker, but I still think Nico is our guy. And eventually, he is the man I plan to make a bunch of money from. And well, it was another season in the Europa League, but this time it was a pretty poor performance in the league phase, as we didn't finish in the top 8. Oh, mind it, just being by 1 point and finishing on a 12 goal difference. I think just 1 loss to Savernia Savezdia. We just about fell out on 17 points. So it means we've got to do this the hard way if we want to lift the Europa League and make it 2 European trophies out of 2. And in the knockout playoff round, we were drawn up against TSV Hartberg. And while it wasn't the demolition we expected, we did win 4-1 on aggregate over the 2 games. And Christian scored in this one, who is a young midfielder that's come up through the academy. So quite cool to see that we have progressed some players from our academy to being first team regulars. Well, in the round of 16, we faced up against Reims, which I thought would be a much more difficult game, but beat them 6-0 on aggregate. So proving we certainly belong on this stage, and we're going to make a pretty good go of going for our 2nd European trophy. The quarterfinals drew us up against Liverpool though, and we managed to hold them to a 0-0 draw at Anfield, with Diego Koshen an 8.1 average rating, which is fantastic. Because we brought them back to the Martinez Valero, and in just 3 minutes we had a penalty, which we of course dispatched of, and that straight away ruffled the feathers of Liverpool, and from there they could not compete. Nico grabbed a second in his 17th, and then 66 minutes in, Baldovino starts off the move with a throw-in, and guess who's going to finish it off as well? Our Colombian centre-back Baldovino scores an absolute screamer into the top corner, and in the quarterfinals, we dispatch of Liverpool 3-0. One thing to note though, is a Liverpool side which have just finished in 7th place, so they're not the dominating side they once were. But in the semi-finals, it all looked like it would be crumbling down as we lost 4-2 to Napoli, and that is not a good start to our semi-final tie. But the Martinez Valero was a magical, magical place, and a place that we were managed to have miracles throughout this rebuild. Renier scored in 71 minutes to make it 1-0, and literally 2 minutes later, despite us being down to 10 men, Mere just passes us the ball. I mean, I don't know if that's miracle or match fixing, but something's happened there for sure. We then head into penalties, and from here it is simply anyone's game. And when I tell you this was one of the longest penalty shootouts I've ever seen, I mean it, because it came down to the goalkeepers, which is mental. Thankfully for us, Koshen scored his and Merritt missed his, and we win the penalty shootout 8-7. After losing 4-2 in the first leg and then going down to 10 men, I did not think this would be possible. We put on an absolute masterclass. We dominated them in shots, dominated them in XG, dominated them in possession, despite being down to 10 men, and have managed to beat Napoli. And well, once again, the final was a lot less exciting. A very simple 1-0 victory over Valencia with a goal, I think once again, going from Franco Mastantuono. He has become a big game player and helped us lift our second European trophy in this rebuild. Reminder, only signing players that are at least partially South American. So South America is taking over Europe in the national stage and the football stage, which seems to kind of be the case in the Club World Cup as well, doesn't it? South American sides performing well above their weight. And I tell you what, they're doing fantastic consistently in the league as well, because we have finished in 4th place. While winning the Europa League, we have got to 70 points. What an unbelievable journey this has been to become a top 4 side, initially predicted to come down in 19th. We are now seen by the media as the mid-table 10th best side. We have closed the gap to this bunch of players, and then we are overperforming with our new signings and with our tactics up to 70 points, a positive goal difference, 20 wins, 10 draws, just 8 losses, which is along the likes of Atletico Madrid. We were a better club than Villarreal, Valencia, Sevilla, with a new Sevilla left in the Europa League, let's be real here. So that's really good. 4th place, which is fantastic. And goals-wise, again, the good thing is they're not just coming from Nico now. He has actually dropped to a 3-star ability player, and his value has dropped to 24 to 30 million pounds. Of course it has. I knew this was happening eventually. Carlos Vinicius scores 18 in 16, but has lost his 5-star potential. So while he looked very good, I'm not sure he's the long-term answer. Palestri, he is the answer. 27 goal contributions. Franco with 22. Renier, 28. This guy was a free agent signing, remember. Is now the captain of the club and has been unbelievable since coming in. If you guys haven't used him in FM because you think he's a washed up, sort of not very good one-nick anymore, give him a try. He's fantastic. Galarazza still 11 assists, and of course Nicolas Fernandez-Mercado, who has been here from the very start, playing in central midfield or even now in left back, has been elite. He is extremely consistent, loves big matches, and has just been a brilliant player for us. And from there, I think it's clear where we are now. We are a European side. Europa League, Champions League is where we belong. Financially, we should shoot up in money. And I do think now, with his value being just £24 million and having interest again from Al Ali, this could be the season we say goodbye to him. But there's got to be a decent offer, and there's got to be a striker out there which fits the bill. And lucky enough for us, there was. So we say goodbye to Nico after his fantastic career, and we sold him for just under £20 million. Because I have signed what looks like an absolute god. Carlos Veronese has 19 finishing, 16 pace, great mental stats, great technical stats, and can also play in central midfield. So for now, I think he's our striker, because of his 19 finishing, of course. But he could eventually be our superstar midfielder that arrives late into the box. I don't know how long we're going to have the likes of Renier for. He is now coming up to 30 years of age. He could develop into that kind of player for us. He's cost us £11 million. Last season scored 11 and 18 for Boca and a 7.37. And he's simply incredible. So I think we now have our superstar striker. From there, I've also gone and signed the 2 Gustavos. One from Inter Milan, who is an attacking right back, and one from Flamengo, who is an attacking left back. They're not brothers, I don't believe, but the 2 Gustavos, it's like having my own Fabios, which is pretty cool. And then Franco Caranzares is a young potential central midfielder brought in. Obviously, you can see here the outgoings raising up to £20 million. Pedro Lima, Juan Carlos finally leaves the club. Never really progressed into anything, to be honest. Nico Thaler leaves the club finally. And of course, Nico, for £16 million, goes to Al Fire. So this is the new look side. Veronese, Palestri and Mastantuono, Renier, Galarazza, Chavez, Gustavo, Affenbrugger, Baldovino, Fernandez-Mercado and Koshen in goal. And this is a side that's going into Champions League football, remember, which is going to be incredibly exciting. So let's see how we do in UCL football with Elche in season number 8. I remind you that if you guys are enjoying the video and you've got to this point, make sure you're liking the video and put down in the comments down below a green and white circle to represent the Elche fans. If you guys have got to this point, season 8, make sure you're doing that. It will help out the algorithm massively. And if you've enjoyed it, I'm sure other people will as well. But the interesting thing was Carlos Veronese actually played as a midfielder and not a striker. Despite me having him full training as an advanced forward on attack, when simulating, he plays central midfield and got 6 goals and 6 assists, which meant we had to get goals from somewhere else. Because the number 9 that really took to the stage was Carlos Vinicius. He had been tipped to be a rotational option up front for us, but he was trying to prove that he was more than that he deserved to be the starting striker, and while Carlos could become a central midfielder running in from deep with that 19 finishing. This season overall, he scored 28 goals and got 5 assists, and in the league alone scored 19 in 33. As a 23-year-old, that's not a bad first campaign being a starting striker. And to be fair to him, he helped us get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, where sadly we lost to Barcelona 4-0 on aggregate, but we beat teams like Spurs in the round of 16, and as we've just seen, Salzburg in the knockout playoff round, and overall in the league phase helped us finish in 16th place, bang in the middle. So I'm pretty happy with how we have progressed. And he even helped us lift another trophy this season. And this time, it was a 1-0 victory against Villarreal in the Spanish Cup final. And we cap off this fantastic season with 77 points and finishing in 5th place. So no, we have not got Champions League football for season number 9, but we are back in the Europa League, a competition which I firmly believe we can win. He finishes 3rd in the top goal scorers charts, behind Mbappe and Vinicius Jr., and we are proving that we are a solidified top European side. We scored 71 goals and only conceded 35. The tactic we've made, where we are having 5 players on attack, 2 on support and 3 on defend, well, it's proven to be very aggressive, but it's certainly working. Luckily, we've got a goalkeeper on a 7.07 in Kushen, who is performing at an outrageous rate. And in terms of the goals we're scoring, well, we have also got Renier from midfield, grabbing 21 and 11 assists. Franco has kind of slowed down a little bit. He's now on 11 goals and 9 assists, and Facundo Palestri is on 10 and 6. Jadel, a signing I thought was going to be absolutely rubbish, but he scored 8, got 9 assists, so he's a pretty good rotational winger. For some reason, only worth 500k, which is mental. Gustavo, 5 and 7. The other Gustavo, 1 assist in 8 games. It really is like Fabio and Rafael. Thiago Bosa's doing well, as is Franco Canizares. And Matias Galarraza, I would love nothing more than to get this guy a La Liga trophy and a Champions League trophy. My first signing we made in the rebuild, and he's just been incredible. £5.5 million, has now had 3 back-to-back seasons above a 7 average rating. And for me, he's got to go down as like a club icon. I mean, Elche are a club with a rich history. So sadly, actually, there is only a couple of names in here that we know, and they're both favoured personnel. It's myself and Big Nico, who I suppose was absolutely brilliant. And over in Saudi, he scored 26 goals in 43 games. So he's still being absolutely fantastic, which is good to see. But sadly, no other names, I believe, unless I'm being blind, are making it to this list. Like I said, a pretty historic club who have always sort of been around the top division, but are now looking to try and get back there and stay there. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that, while being only South American only. And financially, that season in the Champions League, I told you guys it'd make a huge difference. Look at that now. The graph has gone up exponentially. We now have £70 million in the bank and a £25 million transfer budget, which I'm going to splash on some of the best wonder kids around. Number 1 is Diego Escudero, an Argentinian central midfielder. Number 2, Sebastian Giulietti, an Argentinian centre-back. Number 3, Fernando Dimitru, an Argentinian striker. And finally, Everton coming in from left wing, an Italian Brazilian winger in on loan from Roma. Our only other signing is Matias Chacon coming in from Vélez, who is a top tier left back. As you can tell with all of them signings, they are pretty much all squad rotational players. I am believing in Carlos Vinicius to be our starting striker. The only player out of them coming into the first team is Giulietti to partner up Baldovini in the centre-back roles and Chacon into the left-back position. Our midfield is fantastic. Chavez, Galarraza and Veroniese on that get further forward as the box-to-box, get into the box and using that 19 finishing. That is what he is there to do. Renier now taking the starting position on the right, Palestri on the left, means that there is Mastantuono on the bench as a rotational winger, which is interesting because I was convinced he was going to be the guy to take us to Champions League trophies. He's kind of become a little bit of a rotation option, which is quite interesting. He has got some crazy potential in real life, and looks amazing on FM, but I think it's safe to say he's never really delivered at a ridiculous level. Never got over a 7 average rating, and maybe we've just got a little bit of a bad batch with him. He has got that inconsistency out of his game, which is great because he joined with that in his locker, and that's now gone. But he's never really gone on to be an absolute superstar, which is interesting, but we have to move on from that. This is the current side, and the side that we are taking into the Europa League, Spanish Cup, Spanish Super Cup, and of course, the Spanish First Division. And this season was our best points tally to date. At the end of the season, after we got past the midway point, we really locked in to this system and something clicked. We won against Eibar, Tenerife, Girona, Granada, Valencia, Real San Sebastian, Sevilla, drew to Madrid, drew to Pamplona, beat Cadiz, Almeria, Zaragoza, Bilbao, Villarreal, Atletico Madrid, Racing Santander, Alaves, and Real Espadas to cap off a 20-game unbeaten streak, which put us on 81 points. And I am hopeful that Season 10 next season could be the year, because Carlos Vinicius has just grabbed 29 in the league on his own, 39 overall and 2 assists, and I wrote this guy off to be a rotational striker. He is a natural-born goal scorer, and we're only 10 points behind Atletico Madrid, who I believe for the first time have got a trophy in this rebuild, because other than that, it's been Barca and Real. And I'm hoping Barca and Real are kind of falling off a bit. 10 years into the future, a few of the star players are now 33, 34, 35 years of age. I mean, Kylian Mbappe is now 34. He's still quite good and still quite quick, but they are showing signs of slowing down, and maybe this is where we capitalise. Not from us being absolutely outrageous, but from the big boys falling off. Now, sadly, we didn't win any other trophies this season. We got knocked out in the Spanish Cup by Castellon in the 4th round, so a pretty shocking when you try and retain a trophy for that one. And in the Europa League, ran a 16 by Bayer Leverkusen, who are the 8th best team in the Bundesliga. So that is a very, very disappointing loss to them, even though they did actually go on to win the trophy against Manchester United. Maybe we'll see them next season in the Champions League. And what an unreal season from Carlos Vinicius. He just smashed in goals left, right and centre. Renier got 10 and 8 assists. And other than that, we did kind of fall down on the goals a little bit. Franco really showing that he is a rotational player with 15 goal contributions. Palestri with 19. Carlos Veronese, despite having 19 finishing, only grabbed 3 goals but got 11 assists. So there's certainly something to try and work out. Will we get him more involved on the goal scoring front? I'm undecided what to do for the next season. Maybe change system a little bit. Lock in Carlos to a striker position and move Vinicius out onto the wing position. I'm not too sure. Let's go and see what I can do with the transfer market and then decide, because we've got a decent bit of money to spend again. Another 21 million. So first off, Gustavo's been poached by Arsenal on a release clause, £41.5 million, which is very frustrating because the challenge we are doing, he was a Brazilian and Portuguese international. And there's not many right backs out there. So that's a real tough one to take. So the man I brought in is Carlos Alexandre, who's a little bit inconsistent, doesn't really like big matches, is 5'4", but he's a leader and he's very quick. He is just Brazilian in his nationality. We've had to make sacrifices elsewhere to get him in, and I'm kind of hoping he's going to be okay. He doesn't really strike me as a meta player because of his height, but with 15 dribbling and that pace, maybe he's going to be great. We have made a signing of a backup goalkeeper from Barcelona in David Riviera, an Argentinian youngster. Pablo Musa is a signing I've made, an Argentinian left wing. More on him in just a second. And finally, Betinho comes in from Atletico Paranaense, a Brazilian rotational centre-back. Now, Pablo Musa has come in from Boca, and this is a player that I have been scouting for a good few seasons. He last season had his year where he broke onto the scene though with a 7.64, 11 goals in 20 games. And this could be the difference maker. A 21-year-old with elite determination, dribbling, finishing and pace who's unreal on both feet. He's 5'7", so a tricky little winger. And he's the difference. I fully believe he's the difference maker. Our midfield is set. Chavez, Veronese and Galarraza. Wingers, Renier, Musa and Carlos Vinicius up front. Carlos Alexandre, Giulietti and Baldovino and Chacon make up the defence, with Koshen in goal. This team to me screams like a team which is on the verge of doing unspeakable things. If we check out the age of the team though, there's a couple of players that if we don't do this soon, Galarazza and Renier, I don't think are going to be around for much longer. We've got a bunch of 22 to 24-year-olds other than them two, but I want to see if we can do it with them because they have been here from the very start. The rotation options are much stronger now. Palestri and Franco as our backup wingers, amazing. Bosa, Kenyazeres and Escudero, backup midfielders. I'd have absolutely killed to have Escudero a few seasons ago. Now he's playing 19 games as a rotational midfielder. Gustavo Batinho, Nicola Valente, Guille and David Rivera all here as well as backups. And just in case you were wondering, registration-wise, we are actually more than okay. If we auto-select this, we've actually only got 2. We need to get Chacon in somehow. Affenbrugger's leaving, so Chacon comes in. And we are okay because Pablo Musa is Argentinian and Italian, which is fantastic. Verniese has probably developed his Spanish license, which is great. Same for Carlos Vinicius, same for Steven Baldovino. And it's just been a really fun and difficult rebuild because having someone like Gustavo leave this season, an unreal right back, having to really think about how to replace him, having to think, right, I've got 3 foreign slots. How do I make this work where Carlos Alexandre can come in? We have to move on someone that's not quite going to work. And it's just been a real fun rebuild. And one of my most fun, I love Elche. It's been a real joy to watch them come up this season. And it's been a real fun to rebuild them as well. So let's carry on this mission and hopefully, I think, finish it this season doing a double in the Champions League and Spanish First Division. Well, I bet you didn't expect to see that. Carlos Vinicius at Atletico Madrid. I didn't expect to see it either. It was in the end of August. I was busy simulating and he went to Atletico Madrid, scored 22 goals in 26 games and got a 7.59. So that's a bit of a disappointment. But we had an ace up our sleeve. Carlos Verniese was now able to become our starting striker and quickly replace the goals of Carlos Vinicius with 31 goals, 3 assists in 48 games. So to be honest, there was no worry whatsoever. We already had fantastic rotation midfielders which had come in and take his role. And to be honest, we didn't really notice the loss of Carlos Vinicius. I never liked him anyway, to be honest. He was always a rotational striker. The month of August was fairly decent. A loss against Barcelona at the Camp Nou, but only a 2-1 wasn't too bad. Other than that, beating Real Betis, Mallorca and drawing to Real Sociedad. We then beat Getafe, Cadiz, Eibar, Alaves, Tenerife over the next few months, proving we had gone clear from everyone other than challenging Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid and Barcelona. But Madrid were up next and we beat them 2-0. And the next time we faced up against Atletico Madrid, we beat them 1-0 thanks to a penalty from Renier. And I'm led to believe Carlos Vinicius gave away that penalty. Definitely Carlos Vinicius. But anyway, moving on into the second part of the season, we were also incredible. We'd still just had that 1 loss against Barcelona. We went unbeaten in the month of February and drew to Barca this time around at the Martinez Valero. But by the time we got to April, things were a little bit ropey. We lost to Real Madrid thanks to a 3-1 despite Franco getting on the score sheet. We also lost to Valencia 2-1 despite Palestri scoring late. And on the final day of the season, drew 0-0 with Atletico Madrid. I swear, if Carlos Vinicius is the reason we don't win this title, I'm going to go mental. But lucky enough for us, Carlos Verniese beats Carlos Vinicius to the top goal scorer, and we beat Atletico and Real Madrid to the title on 95 points. 3 losses, 5 draws, 30 wins, and an incredible season. We haven't managed to go Centurion, but what a year it was. We scored a grand total of 79 goals. Compare that to Atletico, Barca and Real, all above 90, and Real even above 100. Well, it doesn't matter. We've only conceded 19, and the most important one, points per game, we were sitting on 2.5. Carlos Verniese this season was incredible, but Renier also sticking it to his old club, Real Madrid, with 17 goals and 16 assists. Pablo Musa was an absolute revelation, 13 and 11. Palestri, 11 and 4. Galarazza, 8 and 13. Escudero stepped into midfield, 5 goals, 8 assists, as 7.02. And Franco still grabbed 8 goal contributions, doing his part as a rotational winger. But to finish off this video, we needed to win the Champions League. So we're going to zoom straight in to the round of 16 where we beat Newcastle on penalties. We then faced Arsenal in the quarterfinals, and the first leg at the Emirates was a 1-1 draw. So we took it back to the Martinez, Valero, and Galarreta, the hero that is, scores early on to give us a lead. Veronese linking up with Renier before a ball comes in, and guess who was there but Escudero to eventually poke home to make it 2-0. So we were 2 goals up in this tie until Arsenal came bouncing back, somehow 10 years in the future, still with Kai Havertz. To be fair to him, a great ball through to Moretto to make it 2-1. The game was just 1 goal apart, but Musa down the left-hand side found the ball back into Gustavo, whipped into the box, and Renier with an outrageous effort into the top corner. And in the 85th minute, Musa whipped in a corner, and we capped off a 4-1 victory over Arsenal, taking us into the semi-finals. By the way, how cool was it to see Pedro Sommer scoring that goal right there? An absolute screamer. He has been a bit part player throughout this whole rebuild pretty much, and props up at a moment like that to score a screamer in a Champions League quarter-final. In the semis, it was Chelsea and a very similar 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge, so we took it back to the Martinez Valero. Musa grabbed an early goal, and he grabbed the second as well, and sent Elche into the final of the Champions League. It had all come down to this season and this game. When we were drawn up against Atalanta, not quite the team I expected to see. And they were going to be a handful, that's for sure. Despite not expecting them to be there, they didn't make it easy. Renier, a great ball over the top, and Veronese with that 19 finishing scores his screamer into the bottom corner. But literally 30 seconds later, Atalanta get on the ball. It's Glingberg to send a ball round the corner to Williams, a ball through to Vaughan to poke home for 1-1. But luckily enough, in the first half, 35 minutes on the clock, Renier whipped it in, and at the back stick was Bettinho to head home. The £4 million signing, the rotational centre-back, scores for Elche to make us Champions League winners. And that is the end of an incredible story, where Elche are Champions League winners, La Liga winners, and the best club in the world, all while signing only South American players. It has been one of the most difficult but most enjoyable challenges I've done on the channel recently. So if you did enjoy the video, please make sure you're smashing that like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel because there's more challenges like this on the way. And I'll speak to you guys next time.